right. So this video is kind of long overdue. Well, not long overdue, but I feel as if it's something that I feel extremely passionate about. And I decided, why not make a video about it, right? That's the best thing that you can do. Maybe the algorithm will pick this up. Maybe the right people will see it. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. So for myself, lately, I've been feeling very disillusioned and taken advantage of by the gaming industry, especially especially against Microsoft or from Microsoft, because they've been doing a whole lot of terrible business practices that I 1000% don't agree with. I'm not a huge fan of all the price hikes. I'm not a huge fan of, well, a lot of things that are happening right now, but a big part of it is how these gaming companies are beginning to show their true faces and make an attempt to 100% drain our pockets. I've gone back to the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and I feel like we all should, especially with all this nonsense that Microsoft has been doing with their business practices. I do not want to support the modern gaming landscape. I feel it is far too gone to save unless we all do something extremely different. Now, obviously, you could boycott all of this shit and have a good PC and download some other games and keep playing those either offline or online. Thank God PC doesn't charge us for this stuff, because like, why would they charge us to play online? You know what I'm saying? So thank God PC doesn't do that. Either way, not everybody likes that option. Not everybody likes the idea of a PC. You know, I talk to a lot of people that think it's too much effort to have a PC. And especially now, considering that a lot of people have kind of really bought into their ecosystems that they're a part of, whether it be, you know, Xbox's store, the Microsoft store, they have all their games over there, all their DLCs, and, you know, all their online cloud saves, because nobody really saves to their hard drives anymore. Or like people who bought into the PlayStation ecosystem, same thing, you know. All their games are over there. All their DLC is over there. They've had these accounts for, you know, upwards of 10, 15 years now. And, you know, they feel as if they're stuck. So I know a lot of people are kind of stuck in that mindset, that idea that, you know, I've put so much time and effort and money into this account, you know, whether it be Xbox or PlayStation, you know, I put so much time and money into this that I can't change over. And that's fine to feel like that. I felt like that at points. Thankfully for me, I've had kind of a strange upbringing when it comes to gaming for myself. What I mean by that is, like, I played the GameCube when I was younger. That was like one of my first consoles, the GameCube and the PS2. One of the first consoles I've ever played on in my entire life. And then my family ended up purchasing an Xbox 360. We acquired a PS3 at some point. We dealt with the Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death, and then kind of just hung around on our PS3 for a little while. At this time, it wasn't, you know, we didn't purchase anything online. We didn't even have internet back then, you know, completely offline gaming the entire time, because internet wasn't, you know, forced upon us yet. And then later on in life, you know, we got the Xbox 360S, the slim version that took care of all the bullshit when it came to the Red Ring of Death. We got that, started feeding into that ecosystem a bit. I created an Xbox Live account. You know, I had Xbox Live Gold for a little while. I played Black Ops 2 over there. That was my experience for Call of Duty in the beginning, was Black Ops 1 and 2 on the 360. I played, you know, Halos, Minecraft, when they finally brought that over, Red Dead Redemption, several games I played over on the 360. And I had a lot of friends who were playing on the PS3, and they were telling me about how they had, you know, free online over on the PS3. Now, I was used to the PS3. We used to play like God of War and Resident Evil 5 and stuff like that over on our PS3. The old one that we had with the Spider-Man fonts on it. So I was used to the PS3. And then I ended up getting a PS3. I worked up, got some money, got a PS3 for myself, and, you know, began feeding into that ecosystem. But, you know, I worked symbiotically between Microsoft Store and PlayStation Store, buying games for both consoles, having an online account for both consoles. I was pretty balanced, thankfully. And due to that balance, a lot of my progress on everything, it didn't really matter which console I was playing on, I was working with, because both of them I treated pretty equally. So thankfully for me, I got set up in a pretty decent situation like that. Not everybody's so lucky. Not everybody likes that option of having two different ecosystems to feed into. And for myself, I had already unintentionally fed into both. So when I eventually got a PC for myself, feeding into a third ecosystem was nothing, didn't actually matter to me. And I hope that a lot of other people feel that same way, that they could just get onto a PC, find games that they actually want to play. You can find stuff everywhere for cheap or less. We'll just say you can find that on PC for a myriad of systems, a myriad of genres, plentiful games over here, you know what I'm saying? But not a lot of people like that option because, they spent so much time feeding into their ecosystems. A lot of people like the simplicity of a 360 or a PS3, and not even just that, but like, a one or a PS5, series, whatever. People just sometimes like the simplicity and stuff. And I totally get that. We should really start focusing our attention and efforts on making sure we enjoy our time playing games, though, rather than waiting and wasting away on some new Fortnite clone with a battle pass forced upon you, even though you're playing a fucking skating game. Yeah, I know a lot of people are criticizing this new EA slop, and I know I'm just like everyone else. I could care less for some skin that I have a timed period to unlock, honestly, or like some shirt that offers no value except maybe someday it will become rare enough for me to have some type of clout among like people 15 years younger than me. No, I'm gonna say something wild and controversial. I prefer to play a game that plays well and that I can enjoy. Shocker, I fucking know. But what I find to be more important right now is that I want to play a game that doesn't force me to buy into its ecosystem. Again, another wild opinion, but what I mean by that is like, we already have to feed into an ecosystem of, either like Steam or PlayStation Store or Microsoft Store, and then now games are kind of starting to form their own ecosystem. I mean, Fortnite, the account, it works with everything. I'm saying your account can play on PC, mobile, PS5, 4, Xbox One series. That's a whole different ecosystem to start feeding into. And I mean, we were already talking about ecosystems and stuff. It's different when it comes to like feeding into like the Microsoft, PlayStation, or Steam ecosystems, because that's transferable to a lot of different things. When it comes to like Fortnite or even like Call of Duty now, that's stuck to that game. It doesn't matter what platform you're playing it on, you're stuck to that game to play what you have purchased. It has to be that game. And then when it comes to Call of Duty, I mean, you could, there's stuff on Modern Warfare 2019 that I bought that I cannot play even on Cold War, the game that happened, the year after 2019. Like I could not play some of those characters that I bought on 2019. I don't even know how it is now, stuff that you bought on Modern Warfare 3, you're not going to be able to play on Black Ops 7. So yeah, I just want to play a game that doesn't make me buy into yet another ecosystem, but an ecosystem that is stuck. I've talked way too much about how awful like NBA 2K games are because of this stuff. I mean, it's the same thing, same criticism I just gave to Fortnite and Call of Duty, especially when it comes to 2K. I mean, they've been doing it for years. Yet another thing that you're just stuck to, another thing that you purchase into that gets stuck on. I remember back in the day when we were upset that Call of Duty had a season pass. You would spend $120 on the full game in order to get the full game, You would, 60 for the game, 60 for the battle pass. That was wild back then. And we were all pissed about it. I remember how upset we all were when we kept noticing this nonsense. Season passes became like the norm. We would see them in random games like Assassin's Creed and The Witcher 3. I mean, I just feel like games should have just come out with what they had planned to release them with, and that should be the final price tag. Many others agree with me. Another wild take, what I'm saying? Now we barely get complete games, and it's even worse now because they cost like $70 for some reason, and we still have to pay 10 or 20 bucks every like 2 or 3 months in order to get the entirety of the game. And this doesn't even include the services that we have to pay for, because every game is online now, and you have to pay for not only like your internet, but you also have to pay for Xbox Live or Game Pass. Is not live anymore. Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. You know what I'm saying? Xbox has been the worst fucking company ever to exist recently, and I feel we haven't been angry enough at them. Obviously, the recent price increase of Game Pass has been souring the reputation, but I feel as if we should have been in a larger uproar once they took down the Xbox 360 store. The PS3 store still works fine. And even when there's, absolutely no connection between games on that console and the PS5, it still works. I can go on my PS3 right now, go to the store, spend like 20, 30 bucks on a game, download it and stuff. Super simple. You know what I'm saying? I can't play that PS3 game on the PS5, but I could still, purchase it digitally, go online and buy it. Why did the 360 store have to shut down? I mean, the Xbox 360 store, it works in tandem with the Series X store, and they shut it down for what, like profit? Fuck their profit. This company is backed by fucking Microsoft. There should be zero reason for them to think that arbitrarily taking away a storefront that has functioned well for the past, 20 or so years is going to boost sales or maximize their profits. It's totally asinine and bizarre that we allowed that to happen. I mean, we should have been in a larger uproar about this. Even though the Xbox Series X can play Xbox 360 games, there are some 360 games that are only available on the 360 store that you would have to go on the 360 store, purchase so that you can see it, because it's still backwards compatible. You would have to go purchase it on a 360 in the 360 store to be able to play it on the Series X. But instead, they just took away the 360 store. You can't buy it digitally anymore. There's no way, because in the modern store it doesn't show up. Even though it's a backwards compatible game, it doesn't show up in the modern store. And now you're either shit out of luck because, digital only game sometimes, or you have to, fork out some extra dough to get a physical copy, which, I mean, in the end is going to be better because they can't take that away from you. But regardless, you lost that convenience that that the companies has started to champion for the past couple of years, for the past 10, 15 years. That convenience of being able to buy something digitally without having to go to a store or anything like that, they just cut that away from us. They took it away. Like, the 360 store was not sucking them dry. You know what I'm saying? They just keep making bad business decisions and keep pushing it onto us, the consumers, and making it far more inconvenient for us and far harder to appreciate and enjoy the products that we purchased and want to just keep playing and live with. My recommendation, I know it's tough. Modding an Xbox 360 is a little rough and it takes some time, but it's damn well worth the time. I've seen so many people bring back like the Blades dashboard that the 360 used to have. Like, the 360 used to be such a cool console, and then like now it's 100% neutered almost. We're losing so much of the battle here. Like, they recently updated the dashboard to just tell you to buy a Series X or S. Like, I really wish that they just gave us the option to go back to older dashboards, the NXC. Like, what is stopping them? What is costing them on us having that ability? I see a lot of people mod their 360 and then they change their dashboards, make it look cool like that, make it go classic. That's how I would do it, you know. PS3 modding, simplest thing you can do. It's so easy. USB website, you know, doesn't matter what model. Besides, I think the super slim PS3 you can't mod that easily, but regardless, you could still get like the fat model or the PS3 slim. Go and pick it up like either at a local game store. I mean, if you're in Colorado, we have Games Ahoy. You could go on eBay, find somebody selling a PS3 for like, you know, $80. Simple, really easy. I mean, I was able to do it, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying to stop buying games and, you know, start sailing the seas and stuff. Wink, wink. But I am saying you can go back and enjoy a time where they weren't sucking our wallets dry, you know? Support your local game stores. Like I said, if you live in Colorado, visit this store called Games Ahoy. Go and buy a console there, buy a few games, and have actual fun with your media. I'm tired of this grind fest that every game comes with now. Every game has a grind, but holy shit, I'm not going to waste 1,000 hours they expect of you in new Halo games. And everything is paid to win. Every game has a way to succeed by putting in an extra $30, and then you're almost at the top of the pass that you bought, you know? You have to keep putting time and money into these games that won't matter next year or even next month. It's sad and it's sick that we're continuously allowing this to happen to us. We are being taken advantage of at every corner of our lives already, and we need to stand up for ourselves. And when our leisure and pleasures and things that we like to do in our off time that don't feed into everything else around us are being destroyed by corporate greed, we literally have nothing left. They have always wanted to find a way to profit off of our happiness, and they have mastered this since way before the year 2025. But that doesn't mean we can't be upset and not fight back against this. I swear we should all just go back and enjoy when video games made sense and were actually fun and were complete, you know? We could find finished games. We could find games that don't require some stupid membership for us to pay constantly into so that we could play nothing. If performance is a problem for you, build a gaming PC and, you know, get your games a legal way. Wink, 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 you know? I mean, you could get emulators and stuff. There's so many different ways to play like PS2 games, to play original Xbox games. I mean, the PS2 has such a crazy library, and PS2 emulation, I think recently I saw something that's like 99.7%, you know, every game for the PS2 could be played on an emulator now. Like, PS2 emulation is so good. A lot of 360 games got, you know, ported over to the Xbox One. A lot of 360 games got ported over to the PC, you know. A lot of PS3 games got ported over and stuff. That's why I'm still a pretty big fan of getting a 360 or a PS3, because there are some games that are stuck to those consoles, but they're complete games that don't require updates anymore, you know? They don't require online subscriptions. Xbox 360 has, you know, Tenchu Z and stuff like that, you know? A game that is stuck on the 360 is not even backwards compatible. It's not even backwards compatible. So that's why I'm a big fan of going back and getting an older console and physically buying your media and making sure that you can own the games that you're paying for. I mean, there are a lot of subreddits that you can visit that can help you in this adventure. I mean, especially if you're somebody who likes to mod, somebody who likes to find, you know, ways to maximize the products that they've bought. You know, there's 360 hacks, there's PS3 hacks. Get a PC, you could infinite possibilities with a PC, you know what I'm saying? Even a PS4 or an Xbox One, you know, PS4 modding is super out there. Xbox One, not so much. I don't think you can really mod that, but I know it's still a really solid console, you know? There were so many games that came out for the Xbox One, so many games that came out for the PS4. And with the Xbox One, at least, you know, you get that backwards compatible option and stuff. You're not going to get every game, but you'll still have that backwards compatibility, you know? Try to avoid the online payment plans. Fuck paying to play video games online. I am so against that. It's something that honestly sickens me. I can't believe it's gotten to this point. That's why I'm more of a fan towards the PC option or even the PS3 for the free online gaming. I mean, servers are still running for so many older games. You would not believe it. You could still play Black Ops 2 on the PS3. There are mods, there are modders and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. Since the time has passed, those games over and everything, security has gone way down. Don't get me wrong, I can acknowledge that, but also at the same time, you're not paying to play online. At the same time, you're playing a complete video game and you're playing it online. You know, that's literally what we deserve, especially considering I'm already paying for an internet service provider. I can't lie to you, dude. It's so ridiculously easy to mod a PS3. Like, no bullshit, no opening and soldering the motherboard. If I can do it, literally anybody can. The 360, you know, you can still mod it. I haven't done it yet, you know, because soldering and shit like that, I'm really bad at, you know, pushing myself towards things like that because I don't want to fuck it up. But if you know what you're doing, you know, there's so many videos to watch. There's so much that goes on with that. If you're really into like the modding scene, PS3 for sure, 360 for sure, just do it, you know, get these consoles and stop buying the new stuff, you know. Like, is Fortnite really that important in your life? Is Fortnite really that important? Is Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty, the old ones, you know, they get a free pass from me because of my nostalgia, but also because they were good fucking games. But the new Call of Duties, are they really that important? Do you really need to be playing that on your PS5? Or would you rather play Black Ops 2's story all over again, refill it, rebuild your love for a good story? It doesn't have to be Call of Duty, you know. You could go back, play like Project Gotham Racing or like Toy Story 3, man. I don't know if you guys know that game, but Toy Story 3 was just so fucking fun. There's so many older games that are so complete, so amazing, and we can't experience them on, like, you know, the series or the PS5, you know. So why not just go back and appreciate and enjoy a game that doesn't expect you to pay them? Either way, this is just a way for me to get the message out there, my message out there, because I am so tired of us being taken advantage of and wasting our time and money on companies that hate us because, dude, they hate you. Like, they hate you. They do not care about your interests or anything like that. You know, Xbox had that little renaissance where they were being super consumer friendly, super pro consumer. That's because they fucked up with the Xbox One so bad that the only way to keep people around was to level underneath us. You know, they had to become fucking carpet for us to step on in order for us to actually stick around with the Xbox. They recognized that, and then now they're doing the rug pull again. So yeah, in conclusion, I feel like it's time for us to start going back so that we can really prove a message to the industry that we're tired of being taken advantage of. We're tired of wasting money on stuff that doesn't mean anything. We want to physically own our media all over again because there's so many people that buy everything digitally, and then your account could be gone the next day, and then hundreds of thousands of dollars just wiped away. You have no access to. They're playing in our faces, saying underneath games that it's just a digital license that you're purchasing. You're purchasing a $70 digital license. Like, what the fuck is going on with that? That's horrible. And especially to be telling it to us in such a, you know, condescending manner. It's crazy. So let's just go back. Let's leave all this bullshit behind. Let's go back, play games that don't expect us to keep paying into it, and let's just make sure that we're enjoying the stuff that we put our time and our effort and our money into. This is something interesting. I hope this interests somebody. If you would kindly be sure to subscribe and share with your friends. And thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.